has to share with us.
Yay! Good morning, and thank you so much. Pat is back. Look out, buckle up your seatbelts. If you haven't had your coffee, you will have your morning shot of adrenaline right now, I promise. And Dawn, you're awesome. Nicole, I love you, and you are amazing, and thank you for having me back. And Kim, we are going to help rock the room, and this will be our virtual room. So if you think you've heard it all from Pat, you've only just scratched the surface. This is your moment to shine, because here's the secret, ladies. Out of sight should never equal out of mind. So my gift is helping you figure out yours, and thanks to Garrity and Gossage and the women in business from Mathews Chamber, we are going to help you not just rock your connections, but rock your reconnections. And you're going to learn what that means and what to do about it and why virtual coffee matters. So grab your cup of Java, buckle up your seatbelts, and we're going to have some fun today. For those of you who have not met me yet, they call me the Rockstar Career Transformation Coach. My name is Pat Roque. I am a Jersey girl who is basically convinced my husband to think it's his idea to move to Myrtle Beach, South Carolina. So I went from an airplane ride away to about 3 hours away. And my background, I've had my business 32 years. I've been on the boards of many chambers of commerce and spoken all over the world. My background is in marketing, promotion. It's always been about helping brands find their ideal clients, helping people find who they want and what they need from each other. And so now in this pandemic, it's interesting because guess what, guys? I did my master's thesis on best practices for virtual teams at age 40, went back to school after 20 years of having my business at that point. And my thesis was on virtual teams for individuals and their organizations, published in spring of 2001, before 9/11. Yes, before 9/11. So always a little bit ahead of our time. And so there are a lot of learnings that you will see that transcend from what happened in 9/11 to the downturn, economic downturn, recession 08, 09, and what's happening now. And so I'm an action taker and realized there was one thing I could do is leverage all that now 32 years of learning and really help you embrace not just networking and connecting, but reconnecting in this new normal, because I promise you, the rules have changed. And here's the number one first piece of advice and forgiveness. We are all in this together and we're all on the same playing field. So I promise Kim and Nicole and Dawn and me and the person who opens the door at the downtown bank and the senators and everybody in between, this is the first time that globally we are all on the same playing field. We're all a bit confused. We're all a bit in shock. We're all having to figure out a new normal together. So I promise you are not alone. And this talk for the next half hour or so, 40 minutes, we'll give it an hour, will help you feel more comfortable, more confident, and understand exactly how not only to survive, but to thrive in this new normal. So Pat Roque, if I don't do this, this will not be an official Pat Roque talk. When I turned 50, my best friend helped me through my own career pivot and gave me this box of rocks that says 50 rocks, and so do you. And it made me realize that life is not terrible and life at midlife is not terrible. So she put things like helpful and supportive, and every rock had something special, and I started blogging on LinkedIn. So what we're going to do is talk about how you rock your gifts to the world, and I did talk about that live in person, and we actually made and painted rocks in our last session together. But now we're going to understand why you rock, why it matters, and how you are going to impact the world by reaching out even when you yet cannot fully be out in public doing that traditional old school networking. And why does it matter? Because Terry still has her rock. Hi, Terry, good job. It matters because I promise you, we don't know what new normal is going to be, but literally you can incorporate and use the tools I'm teaching you right now every single day for the rest of your career. You will think about Pat Roque every single day for the rest of your career because this stuff works and it will change your life. So we're going to elevate your expert status so you can serve others. Do you hear me? Networking in its finest, most authentic way will do two main things. It'll elevate your expert status while helping others. And why? Well, when Dawn did the survey, you wanted to learn why your network is your net worth. How to rock your connections over virtual coffees because you need to stay top of mind even as we go through this pandemic and the very strange and unpredictable cycle that we'll be facing. So we're going to inspire you not only to grow your circle, but what you can and should be doing about it over the next 90 days. So we've got the Zoom webinar going. We've got my partner and my colleague and my client and my friend Annie Lieb helping to man the fort, covering the chat room. Please ask questions, raise your hand, include comments. This is for you and about you, and I'm happy to make this awesome so that you get the most out of it. So today's agenda, networking in the new normal. We're going to cover a dozen ways virtual coffees rock. Why not just connections, but reconnections matter. I'm going to teach you, and I'm going to actually call on some of our friends in the room, next level activism, mentoring versus advocating, how you're going to use virtual coffee for that. 8 steps to authentic networking, and then how to incorporate a 90-day plan and weekly action items. How's that? A lot to accomplish? We can do it. All right, so put in the chat so I know you're awake. Who's got coffee? You're having latte? Who's got tea? What's going on while we're doing this talk? I want to know what your virtual coffee vice is. Are you having a protein shake? Tell me what you're having in the panel in the chat room so I know you are awake. Coffee, and lots of it. Excellent. All right, bring it on, girls. Water, good. 100 ounces of water a day. Somebody's hubby's making coffee. That is really, really smart. Good for you. Coffee, water. I've got my coffee and I drink 100 ounces of water a day. Yeah, so that's what we're going to be doing here. Perfect. You're awake. That's a good sign. Question number 1, what is virtual coffee? What the heck is virtual coffee and why does it matter? All right, right there, you see me in the picture, me, my cup of Java, and my laptop. That is how I live, folks. Virtual coffees are the best way that I know how to help you spend quality time with people who matter, one-on-one or in a larger group, using the phone, using the internet. And you can talk about Zoom fatigue. Is anybody here kind of burnt out with Zoom fatigue? Or are you excited to be able to meet more people if you can control your time? Right? Is there Zoom fatigue? Or what if I literally helped you better set boundaries and make this more fun so that these become part of what you enjoy most in your week? Virtual coffees are now my favorite part of my week, and I hope that they will become yours too. And Zoom fatigue will be a thing of the past. It's one of the reasons I'm doing this like a webinar style instead of Brady Bunch cubes. You get to sit back, you get to relax, and I'm going to give you your life back right now on this call. Ta-da! Terry likes them. Terry, I knew you were going to say that. That's great. Okay, keep that chat going, girls. Annie's monitoring. Virtual coffee in my world and in our world is the way to frame one piece of a really important strategy. So when you are looking to elevate your expert status, this is just a sneak peek at my learning modules because I want you to see where it fits in the puzzle. When as a top career coach on LinkedIn, I get recommendations and requests all the time, every day, and people will say, oh, I want my resume redone. And they think that getting a resume redone is going to help them do something better with their life. And I'm going to tell you that that is really the last piece. That is a myth. It is one piece of an important puzzle. And these 9 key elements right here are really what's going to happen. So the 3 key elements of any kind of elevating status, career pivot, this is not just for people trying to get a new job. It will absolutely help you if you do. But it's not only for that. While we're in the chat, Tell me if anybody's looking to elevate and move up, if you're looking maybe to move over and find a job somewhere different, or you're looking to reinvent yourself, something different altogether. Give us a little love in the chat and tell me why you think you might use virtual coffee, and I'm going to tell you where it fits in. So the first part is mindset, understanding your strengths, understanding confidence, how to really set your career GPS by understanding career soul searching. Really super important, because that mindset part is where you discover what matters and why this chapter can look very different from the next chapter, and it's up to you to take charge of it. So sometimes God taps and decides for us, and other times we get to take charge. This moment, I'm empowering all of you to take charge. So the first part is understanding why you rock, what are your boundaries, where do you need confidence, and what matters. The second part of it is the skill set. When you know what matters, when you know what you're after for the next chapter, how do you connect the dots from where you've been to where you want to be? So we have a career transformation workbook. You can steal these ideas and do it in your own in Google document. That's okay. I want you to understand the concept of taking your goals and reverse engineering a 90-day plan. It's one of the things I promised you, how to start with the end in mind. So I want you to stop for a second and think about July 4th's coming. September, October, November. So somewhere after Halloween, getting ready for Thanksgiving, we'll have sweaters back on maybe. What do you want your life to feel like? What do you want your career to feel like? What's something exciting and important that you would like to have seen happen? Whether it's around your family, fun, fitness, better finances, or your fabulous career. What do you want that vision to be? What's something you'll be proud of? And then what about when you go into the new year, 2021? What will be different and better? So part of the skill set piece is about that imagineering and future casting. What is important to you? Because I don't want you to just do random virtual coffees for the sake of it. You can, but that's kind of stupid if you have Zoom fatigue. What I want you to do is say, here's a goal that matters. So how do I future cast? And what do I need to do if that's how I want to feel in November or January? What do I need to do today and every week to get there? Reverse engineer, start with the end in mind. So in that skill set, we talk about our dream role. We think about what a 90-day plan looks like, and we build our reconnections with influencers and people in our lives to get testimonials to grow our status and reconnect with raving fans, right? Then when you go into tool set, that's the storytelling piece. So mindset is first, skill set is second, tool set is third. The tool set's where the resume gets polished. Your LinkedIn profile's got to rock. You've got all the tools you need to tell your story, including a networking strategy. Dawn just said you're going to have Good Cup Coffee sponsoring. You're going to be doing indoor things. You'll be eventually soon enough. You'll have outdoor things. Business before breakfast is coming up. These are all great places to practice and apply what we're learning. It's not a one and done. It's like drinking coffee, eating, and breathing. We're not going to network once and be done. If that's what you're looking for, you've come to the wrong place. But if you're looking for motivation, inspiration, and a good how-to so that it matters and it actually lights you up instead of petrifies you, stick with me and I'm going to show you the actual steps we use and why. Okay? So you know what a virtual coffee now is, and you understand why it fits into a bigger, broader picture. This, my friends, a dozen sweet ways virtual coffees can help. And I'm going to tell you that over the course of teaching this in my Rock on Success community, in our mastermind, in our Career Accelerator, which is our 90-day session that's coming up in July, when we go through these programs and modules together, it's amazing watching how people embrace what we teach and put it to themselves. So for example, we have a woman named Maria. She is a global executive in an international company and is on the shy side. She's not an extrovert, definitely more of an introvert. So when we came to this virtual coffee, her overall first goal was to be seen more, to be respected more, to not be overlooked, to understand how to leverage what she's doing with a global team and a virtual task force. So she took a virtual coffee concept here's a good idea to steal, took a virtual coffee concept, and instead of barking orders to people who don't have to listen to her because she's not their boss, she set up virtual coffee so they had a chance to reach out to her and speak one-on-one for 15 or 20 minutes. You get to set the time, and use that as a warm, exciting way to welcome them in. Use the virtual coffee as an exciting way to show her leadership and to start to mentor them and to get them excited about their opportunity on this global task force. And what she learned is that not only was she recognized in her company, we then took that confidence, we put it on her LinkedIn profile. She literally is just now negotiating a job offer because an organization came chasing her because she's elevating her expert status. Her company's proud because she's leveraging her prominence in the industry and being able to influence that way without having direct reports. And now when she's in this job interview, she said to me, well, I don't have direct reports, so how do I talk about my leadership? And now she's able to use her virtual coffee experiences and explain how that's even more powerful because she's engaging with people and getting everybody on the same page and moving people forward without having direct authority. And that is a special talent, perhaps definitely even harder than having your team do what you need them to do because they report into you and you're their boss. Yes or yes? Do you understand the concept? You can use it for your team. You can use this for your chamber community. You can use this for your friends and family. You can use this concept for job interviewing. Here's a few, I gave you a bunch more. So social isolation, this is a great way if you're feeling like my family's making me cray-cray and I need to hear other human voices, fabulous way to do it. If you've got teammates that you are used to spending quality time with and now you need to either just remind them that you're there, that you've got their back, you can use it as a mentoring moment so that they don't feel so alone, that they feel seen and heard. Right? You can use it to share quality ideas and services with your customers. Here's a ninja tip. Do not verbal vomit and sell all over people because nobody wants to hear it. But if you start out with an authentic, how are you? I really am. How's your family? Everybody healthy? How's your puppy? Did your puppy gain 5 pounds too during this pandemic? You know, human, normal conversation, be real and be human with people. Those are great ways to break ice and talk to your customers, your prospects as a human. So virtual coffees are not a sales pitch. It's what they're not. They're not. You can use it as brainstorming ideas. I'm in a global Healthcare Businesswomen's Association. And so one of the things I came up with was to be the leader on LinkedIn Live. So we're creating a committee and all my clients are on the committee, which is smart because now we can get in and talk to corporate leaders at the places we want to try to have some inroads, right? So we're using virtual coffees to get our committee moving forward and then using that to invite podcast guests. Does anybody here in the room, in the virtual room, do you guys have podcasts? Are you looking to do things like that? Are you using virtual coffees for visibility purposes yet? Give me a yes or no. Tell me what you're doing in the chat, please, so I know you're awake. Sandy's working on a podcast for her organization. Annie just started her own podcast and is a co-host on another, so she is a rock star, and she also now just stepped up to be a head of social media for our Healthcare Businesswomen's Association. That's our kind of women in pharma group, and so I promise you, getting involved in this chamber, I've been down there, guys. I've met you. I met a lot of you. It's really, really, really super important to be able to share. Terry, you are doing podcasts every week. Can I put you on for just a second? Are you using virtual coffee? I want to hear how you are. Are you willing to talk? I want to hear how you are, or could you possibly use virtual coffee to make your podcast experience better? Let's see. Can I give you the mic, Terry, for a quick second?
Yep.
Hi.
So, yeah, I do them every week. They're a scheduled thing, and my team invites people on to learn how to be healthier, basically. And it's, kind of changes all the time. It's always different.
Excellent, excellent. So this virtual coffee system that I'm going to share with you, one of the things that you can do is adapt it, and you can use it to intake potential guests. So they can fill out a little form, answer a couple of questions, and then you're scheduling time, and then right before your Acuity or your Calendly will remind you of who's coming on the virtual coffee, what they're bringing to the table. So you don't have to, you can easily jump from where you were to what is happening in your next appointment. And if you're looking for interview guests, it'll gather that information, drop it into a Google Sheet, and you'll have all that guest lineup stuff without any manual typing. It's all there. Let them do the typing, and then you'll have a reminder right before you jump on a call or a Zoom with them. And if you do it via Zoom, obviously, then you get to see if they're comfortable. Are you doing video with your podcasts, Terry?
It depends. We do video and we do slides, so we're trying
But
to
you're
change
using, right, so it's not just audio, it's both. So if you're using Zoom or whatever, you can have them practice and you can see their presence and you can give them tips if you needed to as well.
Correct.
Perfect. Thank you for sharing that. What's the name of your podcast, by the way?
It's called Delivering Wellness.
Nice. So if you're looking for podcast guests, I don't know if any of the folks who are in this room are someone who can contribute, but all right, Jennifer's chiropractic office. If any of you are looking for podcast guests, virtual coffees are great ways for you to get to know each other and see if you can help each other share good information with your communities, right? Brainstorm big ideas. Thank you, Terry. I appreciate you. Carve clear boundaries. Oops, I'm going too fast. Sorry. Thanks supporters for their loyalty. I use virtual coffees to mentor university students. Every year I give at least 2 students a $10,000 scholarship, and they come into my executive training program and they get to see what life, their future vision, maybe 10 and 20 years down their path might be, and they participate in our mastermind. So they are literally sharing wins and challenges and what they need help with in a Zoom setting twice a month. And they are getting to engage with executives who can open doors for them and who can advocate for them. So all of those kinds of moments can happen on a virtual coffee. Karen Glade, are you available to say hi? Because I want you to talk about that, our little, if you have a minute, I want you to tell them about our little experience with, our little experiment with virtual coffee, where we decided it would be fun to just go out and start poking around and meeting industry people.
Actually, that was one of the most successful networking events ever for me. I met 2 people, and I mean, I met, one person who introduced me to 2 other people that I am now networking with on jobs inside that company.
Nice. And so you created your own networking experience.
Yes.
And did you start with somebody who was part of your current circle, A-list, somebody you're with all the time? Like, help me and help the group put in context.
So actually it was a contact of Pat's, and I had, never known, never met, never LinkedIn or viewed a profile on this person, and they were willingly able to, help me, identify people, and I could use their name, and it just, blossomed from there. So I'm in the midst of working on networking with those folks right now.
And who's a good referral for you, Karen? Who's somebody that these ladies may know that you might like to meet? What industry are you in?
I'm in the pharmaceutical industry.
And where are you located physically?
In Cary, North Carolina, near Raleigh.
Not too far. And who are the kinds of folks that you like to chit chat with when we do these virtual coffees?
So I am currently in compliance, and I like to talk with, operations people who, are also doing compliance in their organizations. I like to work with commercial teams to implement best practices for compliance. And the people that I'm talking with are really all different levels in the organization, and you kind of be surprised at what can happen by just talking and being yourself.
Being yourself.
Yesterday,
Stop. I'm going to stop you right there. Being yourself, because you're enough, right? You are enough. All of us, ladies, you are enough. I promise you are enough. So Karen is available if anybody needs help or friends or wants to just network in and around the health and pharma. There's a quick example of you've now got a new friend that's not too far, but maybe her circle and yours are not completely tightly overlapped, which is actually even better because you get to both grow separately and together when you do that. Does that make sense, guys? Yes or yes?
yes.
You don't want to just use these virtual coffees with people in your tight inner circle. You want to use it to expand your circle. So when you do virtual coffee really quick, right? You're not going to be overwhelmed and overbooked. You're going to take back your time because you're going to pre-qualify callers for your time. You're going to actually set it up where it ties in with your Acuity or a Calendly invite. And you can say, answer these couple of questions so I am prepared for the call. So when you do one with me, if you ever, anybody wants to do one with me, there's a little, it's rockonsuccess.com/coffee. And I can say that out loud and you can remember it and hear it and type it in yourself, or Annie will type it in for you and click that button. But the trick is it'll ask you, why do you want to chat? And it might say personal hello call, collaboration and brainstorming, hire me as a speaker or hire me as a coach. Those are my 4 buckets of typical conversations I would have with most anyone. You'd decide which one is correct, and you'd answer maybe 3 questions just to be able to put it in context. So it uses my Google Calendar and a calendar app like Calendly or Acuity. It asks you 4 questions. It'll get your name and your email and your phone number. It'll remind both of us before the call. And then if I'm busy over here and now jumping on virtual coffee with you, I can turn around and remember in context what we're supposed to be talking about. And the same thing goes for you. You can set it up so you pre-screen people for your time. You set expectations in advance. You eliminate a lot of no-shows, which is awesome. And you don't have to now give out your personal information on LinkedIn. So for example, you don't have to post your personal email or your personal phone number. If you don't want to do that because people are creepers, you can just put this link that you can create. Like mine is, it's always my website / one word. So for me, if you want virtual coffee, rockonsuccess.com / coffee. Easy peasy to remember. And now I've just invited 20 people if they want it. And I will do this when I do a podcast this afternoon. I've got 100 people I'm speaking to at noon. I will do this if I'm out networking and shaking hands back like we used to do, if that ever happens. But it's now an easy way. It's really simple logistically. But Karen, in one conversation, she was talking about reaching out to an old vendor friend of hers. And in a week, I think she had 4 to 6 people. They just kept passing her along, talking to her, helping her, doing those 20-minute virtual coffees and saying, oh, Karen, you're awesome. You need to meet so-and-so. And it created this tsunami. So in less than a week and a half's time, she was already 4 meetings in to the C-suite of her #1 favorite vendor she ever worked with. And the person who helped her was not one of her BFFs. It was just a nice, casual, professional business acquaintance that she thought kindly of, but wasn't her A-list tight circle. It was like a B or a C-list person that was helping. She set up these virtual coffees. Everybody knew what the purpose was. No BS, no tap dancing, no changing agendas. If you say you want to come on for this, like it's not a bait and switch ever, guys. No bait and switch. But use what, like Karen as an example, set up the virtual coffee, let people know, because out of sight should never, ever, ever equal out of mind. Annie just dropped her virtual coffee link. You can see how she has it set up. So here's the trick, guys. One of the things that really hit home, because I've been doing virtual coffees for years. It's my favorite thing I do all week, all day, every day. I love, love, love it. And I hope you will too. But when I was thinking about the so what, who cares, why should I be teaching it and why should you care? Guess what? The New York Times, Adam Grant is one of my favorite writers. He does has a podcast called Work Life, and he had put an article out that made so much sense. Rekindling dormant ties brings unexpected benefits. Rekindling ties, not just talking to people who are in your current circle, but what about those people who you haven't seen in a year or 3 or 5 or 10? Do any of you have someone in your circle from 1 or 2 or 5 or 10 years ago that you could reach out to and do a virtual coffee that might be either really fun or really interesting? Raise your hand if you think you can come up with at least 2 people in the next 24 hours that you can come up with. Good. I see hands going up, up, up. Kim, Sandy, yay, yay. Jennifer, excellent, right? It's not hard to think about them. So I'll tell you a little story about what I did. I'm helping Annie, and she just got her executive MBA, and she's all about networking right now. And she lives in Pennsylvania. So what do? I go in my lovely handy dandy LinkedIn. I say, look at my connections. If you're looking for jobs and you see a company you're interested in, all my clients have access to me to do these things for them. I invite an old friend to a virtual coffee. I haven't talked to him in 10 years officially. He was one of my first bosses when I got my master's and started my 10-year track in corporate and pharma. He was one of my first bosses, young guy, but he basically is the real life version of Tom Cruise in Top Gun. Anybody know Top Gun here in the room? You know Top Gun, right? Tom Cruise in Top Gun? Yes. So what do? I reach out to Bill and I say, saw Top Gun, couldn't help thinking of you. It's been too long. Need to connect. I want to introduce you to a rock star who lives in your backyard. Want to grab virtual coffee together. Literally, that's what I said. Very casual. I always called him Top Gun. I told him he was hotter than Tom Cruise because he's just like this smart, polite, buttoned up, brilliant guy, was one of my best mentors. So I get this guy on the phone in LinkedIn and Messenger. I tell him Top Gun. He lights up. You know he's bursting out laughing. You know he puts a smile on his face. He gets back to us. This is Friday at about 1 o'clock. Ninja networking tip, summer Fridays are fabulous times to network with people and invite for virtual coffee. Reach them early before the gatekeepers get on, the end of the day when no one's looking, or Friday, summer Friday. I know that sounds weird, but I'm telling you it works. Do it. So Friday afternoon, I reach out to Bill. I drop the, hey, Top Gun, want you to meet one of my rock stars. And Annie and I now on Monday morning at, I don't know if it was 9 a.m. or 10, but first thing Monday morning, Bill and I and Annie are on virtual coffee. And the trick is we're not just mentoring, we're advocating. There's Annie in the top left and there's Bill with his little logo in the background. Here's why it matters, guys. Mentoring is nice. It's polite. It's where you whisper in someone's ear and give them some good advice. How many of you here mentor in the room? Are you mentors for people? In your company, in your industry, in the chamber, right? Terry, good job, right? I know you are. So mentoring is great, but what about advocating when you're literally physically jumping in there and helping people by not just telling them they should talk, but what about this moment where I have Annie and me and Bill, there's Top Gun, and we are physically doing a 3-way virtual coffee now, and I get to kick it off by saying, Bill, no, wait, I started with Annie. Annie, you need to meet my friend Bill. He was my very first mentor and my very first job in pharma. Honestly, I wasn't that great at that job, but he was the one who realized they were underutilizing me and blah, blah, but he's Top Gun. And every time I see Tom Cruise in that movie, I have to reach out to Bill. And I want you to be friends because Bill likes A, B, and C, but you both live in the same neighborhood. Whatever. And here's my friend Annie. She's an executive MBA. She was a C-suite recruiter. She's awesome and amazing. She's won every award in her industry. She used to carry a bag. Now she's all fired up and ready to go and figure out her next chapter. You both know a lot of people. You're in the same neighborhood and you both like golf. I think there could be some fun to be had. And he hears the word golf, his face lights up again, the conversation starts. We're not talking about what can you do for me yet. We're talking about Bill, Top Gun, golf. Do you see? Do you see the human side of what we're doing. Annie, I am going to let you turn on your voice box, or you can do your own. And do me a favor, can you share a little bit of that backstory so that you can give some color commentary to it? Why was that important? Why does it matter? And how are you looking at your networking differently now that we are doing these three-way virtual coffees?
Okay, so hi everybody. I don't know why you can't see my picture today. If you can only see my name, I apologize. Something funky.
Well, there you are. You're on the screen. You're with their
I
thumbs
am.
up, so they
Okay,
see
good.
you.
Okay, there I am. My hair is as brown as I was in high school, as when I was in high school, so I'm usually a little blonder. But anyway, so this is my favorite thing to do. And my one question to you guys was going to be, what would hold you back? Because I have to tell you that this was a little, as even for an extrovert like myself, this was a little intimidating to me, because I thought to myself, what's my reason for reaching out? Like, it's just sort of to a random person, and yeah, that, he or she knows Pat, but I felt a little awkward. And then I realized everybody sort of knows what the other person's like. We all know what we're in this for. We're all connecting. We're all just doing our best. And this is the greatest way to have a warm introduction to somebody. Even if it's not totally warm and it's just a random reach out to somebody, people are not threatened by a virtual coffee. It's not making them go out of their way, really. You're not going to a coffee shop and meeting for an hour. It's a 15-minute call, 20-minute call, and people want to talk about themselves. So just ask questions. And that's what I do. It's just, hi, how are you? Like, put my energy out there, and I just say, I just wanted to hear about your background and learn more about what you've done and how you got to where you are. And just like, as we say, kibitz, just sort of talk a little bit and talk about, what's been going on in the pandemic and how it's been affecting this person, and just really bring humanness to it. And you will be surprised at how warm the reception is from most people. I have yet to have anyone really say no or not be warm to me on a call. I've gotten so far networking. This is my favorite thing to do.
And so when you're on the call, are you asking for things for yourself first, or are you
Absolutely.
offering
So this
to help people? So how's that conversation sound a little bit?
So it doesn't sound like, so I'm looking for a job. What can you do for me? That's with the opposite of what it sounds like. It sounds like
Right. Okay.
You're looking for information about that person. You're learning about that person, about their career path, and then you're offering your services. So this is a little elevator pitch on me after they've talked. And I wanted to see if I could be a resource for you and find out how you can be of service to them, how you can help with whatever projects they're working on, what they're doing, what's important to them. And then you get their back down. They're not, experiencing the "what can you do for me" spiel. It's much more relaxed and warm, and I'm here as a resource. I just wanted to let you know. And I am telling you, as awkward as that may feel at first, it really, people start to open up. Well, I don't have anything right now, but Bob over in quality, I heard, was blah, blah, blah. Or let me put you in touch with so-and-so. It's like they know why you're there, and you know why they're there. And everybody's really just offering a helping hand to each other. I have yet to have a bad experience with this. It's really much, once you do it a couple times, it's really just easy and a good way to grow your network.
Excellent. So you are being your authentic self. You are being of service to others. You're not verbal vomiting all over people, right? I think these ladies have heard me say that verbal vomiting thing before. And you are making sure that they know that you're there to support them and cheer them on. So support might mean sharing something or reinforcing something on LinkedIn. It might be inviting them as a podcast guest for those of you who have it, or offering if they need one.
Let me give you an example, Pat, real quick.
Go ahead, sure, yeah, jump in.
See Bill's picture on the screen, everybody? So see how he's real dark? I told him, we kind of joked about it toward the end. I'm a little bit of a jokester. So after the call, I wrote him an email, and I got his email on the phone. And on the Zoom call, I wrote him an email and thanked him. And I put a link for my selfie light, which I have on my computer, which not only makes you look a little bit nicer, it brightens you up and highlights your face when you're talking. But I told him that he seemed a little bit like the man behind the curtain, and it was scaring me a tiny bit. And he laughed and I laughed. And He told me that he was going to purchase the selfie light that day and thanked me. And it was just a nice way for him to remember me. So it was just like a cute thing that he appreciated.
Excellent. Thank you for that. And here, by the way, look, here's one of those lights, right? So we teach a course called Zoom Rock the Virtual Room. And so one of the things we always do is we're helping people elevate their expert status is go through even the little nuances of being perfectly lit, even if you're working out of a bedroom or a closet or wherever, because that's part of it, right? It's all about doing the best, giving these crazy times, and feeling like you're not in this alone and we're all in this together.
It's a real game changer. The selfie light is a game changer, I will tell you. Even though you can't see
and
me
it
today.
is. If you remind me, I can share the list. We've got a resource list. I can always share that if you want. Just remind me or message me for virtual coffee if you want. Again, no pressure, but if you want, and remind me and ask, and I'll share that with you. I've got a resource link. So anyway, don't just mentor, advocate. If you step out and engage two people and really introduce each other and why they can impact each other's lives, why you were thinking that they might be fun together, somebody might want a recipe, there might be other things, but just you're going to set the context. And that is taking this and putting it on steroids, right? So this is going to work for you, whether you are a candidate, a contractor, or a collaborator. This is the way to rock reconnections and grow revenue streams. Maybe it's to land your dream job. Maybe it's to help with your recruitment. Maybe it's to help with your visibility. All of those functions are possible through virtual coffees. All of those functions, and what you use them or may change over time. And you may use multiple versions of virtual coffee. Like I've got one set up for 20 minutes. I've got one set up for people who want to literally, they know they want to work with you and they want to apply. So their virtual coffee link is rockonsuccess.com/apply, because then we know their intention. And I ask more specific questions because they've basically said, look, I want to hire you. So they're happy to share that. I would never ask someone all that stuff if they hadn't already expressed it. So they've raised their hand. Right? So the context is there. So here's our 8 secrets to rock your reconnecting. Rule number 1, clarity rocks, right? Mutual agendas. Make sure you're clear. Don't do bait and switch. Show up with a goal and a purpose, which again, when you set up yours, you might want to steal my version and apply it to your own. It's, what do you want to talk about? What would success look like at the end of the call? Etc. You can ask really short questions. I dropped a link in the thing. I teach you how to set it up. If you want that, you're welcome to, and I'll save you time and show you how to actually physically set it up and what apps I use and how to do all that. So it's there if you want it, rockonsuccess.com/connections, but no big deal, but you'll know the agenda. Again, no pitching. It's not a sales pitch. Unless you are sharing a capabilities presentation. That feels very different. This is a good reason to share capabilities presentation. That's a new thing that's happening in corporate America, where you can share your latest and greatest and just say, look, if not for today, maybe even if not for you, someone you know, but I found a lot of great success in helping organizations and teams rock their strength. I know you guys had that workshop, so you'd understand what I'm saying. We've been applying it for companies, especially in this virtual environment. If you'd like, I'd be happy to do a capabilities talk just to kind of give you some ideas that you can use, or if you want to hire me or brainstorm for down the road or put it on your 2021 planning, happy to do a capabilities presentation. That virtual coffee is different because the intention is clear and different. Do you see? Do you understand the difference? Your intention should be honest and transparent and no bait and switch. Then brevity. Short is sweet, no verbal vomit. I know you guys know that. I say it all the time. 15 minutes, 20 minutes, 30 minutes, make them short. I always say pretend it's as long as it's going to take you to have a virtual coffee, right? A cup of coffee. So you set the time. You actually, in the system, you set up the time, right? You physically set up the time. Make sure you highlight common ground. Even when you're doing LinkedIn connection requests, This is something you can apply into those. Here's another tip, right? So I admire your, let me stop. I just did this with someone who I really have been dying to meet, who's an industry leader, but when I looked, I noticed that this person rescues animals and is all about adopting pets and puppies. So I see you're a rescue hero too. Me and my Bichon Yorkie Bella have been looking at da-da-da. So I talk about me and my dog, and then I say, well, if you want to grab a virtual coffee and brainstorm topics for your upcoming conference, let's grab a virtual coffee. And I drop the coffee link. This coffee link is one for something specific around speakers. It's going to ask for some more information about their conference, so I can prepare before we get on. Do you follow me? Apply what you need and what you're doing. Create a version of this virtual coffee to fit your needs. Use the common ground with people. Oh, look, highlight common ground and find common ground. I guess common ground is good. So we have brevity, we have common ground, we have collaborate with generosity. Give more than you take. Don't come in with a greasy hand asking. People will skeeve and run away. You want to be that resource that they can't wait to talk to again. So be generous. I like to talk about baking the cake together. I say that a lot. Or co-creation. That's a good one. Baking the cake together or co-creation. Those are two things that I might say if you're looking for something. So Kim put, I'm thinking about a podcast that's really in early stages. I don't have one. So now I might say to Kim, you know what, Kim, we love building content strategies and helping people create their podcasts. It might be really fun to co-create and come up with a way to adapt, your experience, what you're thinking, what you're looking to do, and kind of brainstorming that out loud. If that's something you want to brainstorm, we should schedule a virtual coffee. So now I've kind of let a breadcrumb, right? I dropped the breadcrumb, but she can bite or she cannot bite, and it's not threatening, it's not overly salesy, but I'm already saying, here's an idea that might help you if you want to think out loud about it together. Happy to do that. It's not going to be a big sales pitch. It's going to be what might it look like? And you can take the ideas and run with them with your own team without us, or you can say, you know what, I might like some help, and then we do that. It's all good, but your mission is and your intentions are clear and your ideas are generous. You always want it to be win-win, win-win-win, meaning when I had Annie and Bill, I made sure Annie and Bill walked away with a win. Bill can't wait to take his number one prospect, Annie, and me, and we're going to go on Annie's father's country club and play golf. Win-win for everyone, my friends. And taking someone like that is a great way to leverage what you do on a virtual coffee to real life. We can talk about rocking your networking on and off the golf course another day, but Nicole knows it's one of my favorite things to do because it's one of the best places to be able to safely and in a healthy way and with social distancing really still see people. It's one of the very few ways that fits all the buckets, and you can do it in a safe and healthy way even now. So keep that one in mind. And finally, the last one is really about just do you, just be you, be transparent, be authentic. Don't try to be something or someone you're not. It never works. It never, ever works. So people are going to want you. You are enough. It's all about bringing your generosity, your light to the table and bringing out that light in other people, right? It's about confidence. Look, there's a little confidence rock. And it's about shining the light on others. So if you think about what two people can you come up with who might deserve to meet each other? Now, you can take someone, bring in one of your students or one of your mentees in your company or organization. You can bring a mentee here. Look, here's my rock, just do you. That's the rule, right? Invite two people, Kim, Nicole, you're lawyers. You've got tremendous client base, and I'm sure there's people within your circle who could help each other. You can help both of them. Maybe one is your client, one might be a prospect, but this concept can be leveraged and parlayed over and over and over and over. And once you do it and teach others, they may start to do it too, and you become the Pied Piper. And that is ninja networking at its finest. Now, I see some hands up, and I'm trying to figure out if those were from earlier or if anybody has a question. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to lower your hands, and I want to see if anybody's got questions or comments while I get ready to start winding up. So if you need have a question or a comment, put a note in the queue. Annie is monitoring, excuse me, the chat.
Yeah,
I'm
I
gonna
can't
talk
see
about-
hands up or down, so whatever.
Okay,
if
can you
could
see
put
the
it in
chat?
Yep, absolutely.
All right, so in the chat room, can you, if you have a question, raise your hand in the chat. Let me know you want to ask something or share something, and I'm going to just talk about how you take this and wrap it all together in a 90-day plan. So, rule 1, help others succeed. It's not only about connecting, but reconnecting. So, people in your past, not just your present. Your past may still become your future. And 3-way virtual coffees are really, really fun. You might want to make them at least 30 minutes, not 15, because when you've got 3 people talking, it takes a tiny bit longer. That's a good tip. Search, tag, and connect with people in your industry on LinkedIn. I do teach a full-blown talk all about LinkedIn, so that overlaps with this. We won't have time today, but you can imagine that's the #1 place I'm using to go in and do homework and check people out before we get on the virtual coffee. So if I'm inviting Annie and Bill, I do it on LinkedIn Messenger because I tag both of them and I want them each to check each other out before we get on the call. Do you understand? Have each person do your homework, check them out on LinkedIn before we get on the call. Important. Give and receive recommendations. If you liked what you heard today, you can go chime in on LinkedIn and you can write a recommendation. That would be greatly appreciated. And that's not a cheesy thing to ask people to do. So if you're reconnecting with a colleague or a coworker, your boss, someone, a client from even 5 years ago, it's never too late to ask them to put a recommendation. Or if they've said something really nice, you might say, you know what, I was cleaning out my desk. Those of you who remember paper thank yous, anybody here old enough like me to remember thank yous on stationery? Remember that? I sound like a dinosaur.
I love those.
But, right? Tactile paper thank yous. So I found a thank you note, or I saw this little butterfly you gave me after we won our case, Nicole might say. I was thinking of you, wondering how you're doing, wanted to share some updates. Can we grab virtual coffee? Or go in and write a recommendation for a former teammate if you want to keep in touch. You proactively write recommendations for other people, and I promise they will help write them back for you as well. Sound like a good trade-off? It's easy peasy. Stay current with connection requests, profile views, messages. Keep publishing. Annie Lieb, I know she put her link in here. She's awesome, and she's been doing some really cool blogging and podcasting, so you can follow her and give her some don't just like or check the like box. There's multiple ways you can comment. You can put applause, insightfulness, things like that, and comment and share. If you like what someone's saying and doing, share what they're doing. So the people you care about can then be exposed to someone else you now are enthused with. You follow me? Generosity. Generosity. Make sure you keep your contact list updated. Make sure, ninja tip, on LinkedIn, you can go into data and download your contacts. Please make sure you do that periodically, because if for some reason Microsoft had a crazy idea and LinkedIn went away tomorrow, you want to make sure you've got all your information that's sitting in there. So pull it out. And if you do that and you're a pen to paper kind of person, you can even look at the list or look at it in a Google Sheet or a CSV export and go back and figure out who you should be touching base with again. Send nurture emails linking back to your blog, your article, slide, share some expert point of view, a thought leadership thing, something you've written for the Chamber of Commerce. But most importantly, track your progress. And please, please, please follow up. If you're meeting people and telling them you're going to make a commitment, I always want to know why you want to meet, what you want to get out of it. And when we leave, there will be a next step so that we have a time-based, actionable next step. So we each know what to expect, not just, oh, that was nice, see you in 5 more years. Tomorrow is not a day on the calendar. I call this Blur's Day. It's like Groundhog Day, right? All the days blur together. But if you turn around now and say, won't it be nice? Why don't we touch base again if it's a near action item, in 2 weeks? What are your vacation plans? Can we schedule something for July? If you're just thinking maybe every 90 days to touch base with them, schedule a fall virtual coffee. Pick and choose, but pick a time. Your calendar system will let you go ahead that far. Follow up. Tell them what you're going to do and then do it and then report back in. That's so you don't waste people's time. Nobody wants you to just be a blood-sucking leech and waste their time and not follow up. Meet people who matter, share an agenda that matters, make mutual connections, grow your circle, and follow up. Did I say follow up enough? Do you guys, what's the big thing I just said? Follow up, right? It's important, it matters. Otherwise, you're just running in circles and wasting everybody's time. Follow up. Questions, comments? We're getting ready to start winding down. I put my virtual coffee link here so you can go on and see literally if you want to brainstorm collaboration, hire me as a speaker, hire me as a coach, or a personal hello call. That is the way to do it. RockOnSuccess.com/coffee. It's really easy. You'll get a questionnaire that'll ask you those couple things like I said. You'll see what the process looks like. I've got emails that follow up. You'll get a reminder. You can experience the system in my authentic way, that way, if that is something that is good for you, both to experience it and or to potentially work together. I would love to be able to turn this one conversation into an ongoing dialogue. That's why we do these things, right? Was this helpful to you? Did anybody get a big takeaway or aha moment? If you want to share that in the chat, that would be awesome too. To all panelists and attendees, what was your big aha takeaway moment? Anybody? Did you learn one thing that really will help you? I know follow-up is a big one. I know being yourself. Jennifer, did you have a question or was that hand raised from before? Just be you. There you go. Yeah, it's important. I may not be the perfect speaker. I may not be the perfect strategist, but you know what? We'll have fun and we'll get it done. And people will remember you. I promise. Right? Reach out to people. Kim said, thanks for reaching out to people. Reminder to reach out to people we haven't seen in a while. Yes. Yes. Don't let people fall off the map. It should be more often, and you're going to prioritize who you're reaching out to, but tell them you miss them. There's nothing wrong with just saying, hey, saw your pretty face on LinkedIn. I miss you. Hope your family's well. Love to catch up with virtual coffee. That is magic into itself. Isn't it? Wouldn't you feel good if somebody said that to you?
Mm-hmm.
I would. Cool. Baking the cake together, Dawn liked. And Dawn, here's a good one. Here's why I like that one. One of the things I used to do back in the day when I was in strategic selling, especially when I called on pharma, you weren't allowed to bring gifts. You couldn't buy them anything. Lunch had to be under $10. I mean, it was really restricted. Very, very restricted. So what I would do is I make killer cheesecake. I would bake a cheesecake and I would go into Karen Glade has had many of my cheesecakes because she used to be my brand partner client back in the days 15 years ago. I could get someone to let me come in, bring a cheesecake. We'd put it in the room. I'd have little cute napkins and I would share with them my family recipe for cheesecake. And the biggest ingredient was love. So they'd have my family recipe. Of course, it'd have my name and my contact information and my company that I was with at the time. And so we talk about baking the cake, your recipe for success. So now you can see why I'm very consistent. You'll see that over time. The more you hire me and have me come back, right? I'm consistent with my message, with my madness. There might be new spins and new tweaks and new ways to apply it. But now, 15 years later, I'm still talking about baking the cake together because we might be having a slice of cheesecake together, even if it's a thin one, and talking about how do we co-create, what are things happening, what are the pain and promise in your organization, is there a gap maybe I can help fill, or maybe I can introduce you to someone who can, right? Or maybe you know someone who's looking for a coach. It's not you, you're great right now, but maybe you know someone. Those kind of polite, soft, like non-salesy conversations are what matter. So use your language. Reach out to people who matter or who used to matter, who are going to light you up. You're going to feel better. Create your virtual coffee system. If you have questions or you want to follow up, rockonsuccess.com/coffee. You'll see mine. Again, if you haven't, make sure here, I'm going to give you one final tip. When you're on these virtual meetups in Zoom, on the bottom right-hand corner of the chat, 3 dots, it'll say on the right-hand side, 3 dots where it says all panelists and attendees. If you click on that, you can click the Save Chat button, and you can save the chat. also, and you can get everyone's LinkedIn that posted or any of the comments that are there, right? So on that bottom right-hand corner in the Zoom webinar chat, there's 3 buttons. Click the Save Chat. It'll save it out as an ugly, non-formatted text file, but you'll have it. We ran a little bit over. I know Dawn said it was okay. The construction is starting underneath me, so the jackhammering is just starting. I don't know if you hear that. Diane, Dina says she doesn't have 3 buttons. Anybody else see the 3 buttons in the chat on the bottom? In the chat room in the bottom. You don't see it. On the button where it says all panelists and attendees, you don't see on the bottom 3 buttons. Okay. You know what? If you want to follow up with rockonsuccess.com/coffee. Remind me you want it. Oh, Dawn sees it. Maybe because you're a panelist? Dina, do you see it? Anyway, we'll be happy to get it to you. I'm sorry. It should be there.
You know what you can do, Pat? You can
Yeah.
right click in the chat box. You can right click and you can select all. And then right click again and copy, and you can just email it to yourself if everybody wants this information, and it'll copy the whole chat.
Oh, there you go. See that? We love tips and tricks. Was this helpful? You guys got it?
Very much.
Can you all go out and do at least 2 virtual coffees this week or set them up this week?
I believe
It's
so.
worth it. There's always a way, right, Dina? There's always a back door. Women stick together. We figure these things out. And again, that's why the virtual coffees are fun, because you will have moments to share big nuggets, little nuggets with people you care about, and they'll respond to you faster. I promise. That reconnecting, you're going to get in the front door, you're going to get past the gatekeeper, they're going to say yes faster, and they're going to be more likely to take action and help you because they already know, like, and trust you. They already know, like, and trust you. If you want to schedule a 3-way virtual coffee with me and someone that I should meet, or me and someone you should meet, message me. Let's do this. rockonsuccess.com/coffee. And I want you to enjoy the rest of your coffee and the rest of your day. And a thank you to Annie, and a thank you to Dawn, and a thank you to Kim and Nicole and the law firm. And I hope you'll have
And
me
to
back
you.
again. Yeah, no
Yeah,
problem.
thank you. That was fabulous.
That was wonderful. You rock. You're awesome.
Thanks,
You're a
everybody.
superstar.
Nice to meet you all.
I hope everybody learned a lot today.